Hey everyone, welcome to PolyCosm and welcome to our new series, Hands On. In this series, we'll be focusing on techniques and workflows created with traditional media. Now, this video is a little rough compared to our usual work, so apologies for that. I've had some issues while recording this, which I will address in the upcoming parts. Hope these won't really affect your experience. In this episode, I'll be going over how to draw a character with basic drawing supplies on a regular sketchbook paper. We are keeping things really simple and slowly building up our character from a gesture sketch to a more developed drawing and then going over it with ink pens and brush pens. Let's get started. So I wanted to start with talking about our materials first. I'll be working with, just like I was saying, very basic materials. First I'm gonna start with this old, there isn't much left of it as you can see, this coal erase blue sketching pencil, which I really like. It's kind of difficult to find more of these guys these days. I don't think they're being manufactured anymore, I'm not sure. But I got a box of these a while ago, and as you can see, I don't have much left of this one, and I have a few more that are about this size. And I'm using this extender to help with the grip. And I really like sketching in these. You obviously don't need to use this, any kind of colored, even graphite, just normal regular graphite pencil will do. I'll explain why I use this at least one colored later on in the process. It will make sense. But again, like I said, you don't need this specific coal erase blue, could be any colored pencil really. And I got this what's called a clutch pencil from Kohinoor, I think. I'm not sure how that brand is pronounced, but you can see there. I'll probably put a link of all the materials in the description. So I got this clutch pencil that I'm gonna be using, quite like these guys. They don't wear down easily and just comfortable grip and really comfortable sketching with these. For further details, I might switch to this 0.5 mechanical pencil. It's got a 2B lead in it. 2B is a good one. Just overall, I think 2B is a good softness or hardness, I guess, to work with. It's not as light as an HB, but it doesn't go as dark and soft as, let's say, a 3B, 4B, or even higher. This is a good medium one to work with and get into some finer details if I needed to. And when it comes to inking, I might be using, again, might not use all of these. I got these two Pigma Micron pens, which I really like. One is, as you can see, 01, and this is 04, a bit thicker. You can get a fair amount of line thickness with these, not a lot. It's not as variable as let's say a brush pen, yeah, such as this Pentel that I have here. Yeah, with this one, you can get like some really thin and really thick lines. So there's quite a bit of range between the thinness and the thickness. Not so much with these ones, but they're quite consistent. Especially the 01 is in that sense quite nice and comfortable to get some smaller details with. I might use some of these. Again, Pentel brush pen. I might use this one. It's a nice soft brush pen. I also got this firmer one. You can see here the tip. I'll do the camera. It's quite different than the Pentel brush pen. So this one is a lot softer brush, the Pentel one. This black one that I'm holding, the brush on this one is a lot firmer. So it's easier to control that one. But again, it has less range than the Pentel. This one, the brand name for this one is, I forgot actually what it was. It just has this Japanese writing on it, so I couldn't tell, but I had to Google it. It's a Platinum Suhitsu Fude Pen, or Fude Pen. I'm not sure how to pronounce that one. Again, I'll put a list down in the description below. Oh yeah, and of course, a kneadable eraser right here. You can also use a hard eraser as well, although this one is nicer on the paper. You are not really damaging the paper with this one. With a hard eraser, you might wear down the paper, and you might even, if you are drawing over like your ink lines, you might even damage the drawing. Whereas kneadable eraser, it's very gentle. You don't need to worry about damaging your drawing or your paper. And speaking of paper, just very simple plain white paper. It's a sketching paper. This sketchbook that I actually stole from Christina. There's some gibberish Norwegian writing on it, I think. I don't know. But it's, just very plain paper, nothing fancy. Just trying to keep things very basic here. It's not really that much about the materials we are using. It's more about the, once again, process that we are going to be going over. Okay, so I'm ready to sketch. Let's get started. So, right, I'm gonna try not to talk too much. I'm gonna start sketching very loosely, very quickly. I'm just trying to find the gesture and the placement of the character on the page. I'm gonna double check with the camera to make sure you guys are seeing the whole figure. So I'm using the color erase blue pencil to lay in the basic gesture of the character, how he is standing, how he is holding himself, what is this, his pose. And of course, it's this stage where I start to hint at his proportions as well. The reason I'm drawing it with this color erase blue pencil is because, first of all, I really like drawing with this pencil. It's a pretty comfortable one. Also, second, it's easy to erase this and separate it later on when I am going over this base sketch with my clutch pencil or my mechanical pencil. I'm going to be using this just for the gesture and the blocking, and then I'm going to go over it with my clutch pencil to get into details, to blocking the secondary shapes, smaller elements, things like that. This probably will be, I might go over this a little bit more, but this is roughly how far I will take this stage. As long as things kind of look correct enough. Yeah, his gesture, his balance, his proportions. As long as I'm happy with all of that, I can move on to the next stage. Let's move on to the next stage. Right, I'm gonna be using my clutch pencil to sketch over this, to add further details and build up on the base that we have here. I actually have a sort of a mood board with some images on the side that I'll be glancing at. It's very loose, it's very rough, something that I put together quickly. I might, not necessarily look at and use everything that I see there on the sketch, but I wanted to just have something on the side and not necessarily try to do everything from my imagination, even though sometimes I do that, and I think it's a very good exercise and it's a good idea to test yourself like that now and then. I want to have some references on the side, just in case if I feel like I'm stuck, I can just look at that board, get some ideas, and keep sketching. The sketch that I have here is, I think, light enough. I don't really have to go over it with my kneaded eraser and lighten it necessarily, so all I'm doing is building up on this base that I got. I'm basically just dressing this guy up, thinking about some of the shape design that's going to happen within his silhouette, and I'm also going to be building up his silhouette over this base, right? So we got a base silhouette here, but it's just the silhouette of a guy standing. I want to make it a little bit more interesting than that. I want to add some shapes that are going to break the silhouette out in parts. Maybe he has some trousers, something he's wearing that really bulges out here in his legs and creates this interesting shape. Maybe he's got some big thick shin guards that also kind of stick out a little bit, or something that's a bit comes out over his knees. I'm basically roughly just sketching some shapes at this stage, trying to break his silhouette, create something more interesting, try to figure out a sort of a shape language that I can follow throughout the design. To have some pauldrons that really, at least one that kind of really sticks out like that. So maybe I'm not going to be working necessarily with sharp shapes like this, just sticking out. Maybe I might soften them a little bit. So very loosely sketching. Again, just important thing is at this stage is just still keeping things loose. I got a good base, so I know the elements that I'm applying on top are going to be looking fairly correct at the end. You can probably tell by now that I am not really that great at drawing and talking at the same time. This is one of the reasons why I never quite got into streaming. I feel like I either end up talking but not drawing much, or I get into drawing but end up not talking and being boring. Then everyone leaves, just like what happened at every birthday party I've ever had. So I'm going to go over the sketch very lightly with the kneaded eraser to lighten the lines. Once I'm happy with that, I can move on to the inking stage. So there's no one ultimate way of doing this. Sometimes I start with one of these micron pens and I do majority of the line work with this. It's pretty consistent. And then afterwards, if I want to go over it and thicken some of the lines, I might switch over to a brush pen. Or I start with the brush pen, try to get most of the, thick and thin lines done, and go over it with the micron pens to get into the finer details and such. I don't know what I feel like, to be honest, but maybe I'll just jump into it with this brush pen. Yeah, let's try that. So again, this one is a lot easier to control than the Pentel brush pen, but still, I'm gonna try to be as careful as I can. Don't feel like you have to do the whole drawing in one sitting. I definitely didn't. I got up and took some breaks when I felt like I needed a break. Get up, go for a walk, maybe grab a snack, go pet your dog if you got one. And when you feel like you had a good mental break from it, just get back to work. Okay, I think at this stage I might switch over to one of these guys, these micron pens. Maybe all four. I'll start with this. You can take a look at the tip there. I'm going to speed up the footage here a little. Basically, all I'm doing is getting into finer details with the micro pen. After starting out with the brush pen, switching over to a finer pen helps me keep the line weight varied. It is important not to have the same line weight consistent throughout the drawing, as this can create a flat image. Right now, most of the information is already down on the paper. I'm just going over it to add more marks to imply texture and thicken the line weight in places where there is overlap between shapes. I'm also adding some deep shadows in parts to reinforce the sense of depth. Once again, the key is to do this sparingly, ideally while creating complex and simple areas flowing into each other in turn. As I get closer and closer to finishing this drawing up, I'm going to keep erasing my sketch lines with my kneaded eraser, or if there are any stubborn lines, I might use the hard eraser. Once again, be careful going over your ink drawing with the hard eraser because it can be quite easy to damage your drawing. Here's the finished drawing! Hooray! Our first fully traditional artwork on PolyCosm. Of course, from this point on, I can scan this and digitally color it. I can change it up a little bit, create variations. But for now, I want this series to be solely focusing on traditional media. So if any of you guys out there are interested in working like this, let us know and we'll try to create more videos covering traditional techniques. Thanks for watching, everyone. I hope you've enjoyed the first episode of our new series. And don't worry, we'll be back to digital art very soon. Thanks for your time and take care, everyone.